My name's Mia. I am the after school program manager and coordinator at Wallenberg High School. I'm new to the school, but very excited to join this team to find ways to help support our African American students.
Hi, my name is Sohan Bhatt. I teach chemistry and AP chemistry at Wallenberg High School. This is my 4th year there. I also coach the boys and girls tennis team, and again, really excited to be a part of this team.
Hi, my name's Bobby Kazarian. I teach ethnic studies and AP government at Wallenberg. It's my 3rd year there, and I'm excited to be on the team too.
My name is Tatiana Kelly. I'm a parent, and my daughter goes to Wallenberg, and I'm excited to be on the team also.
Hi, my name is Paula. I'm a family liaison at Wallenberg, and I'm passionate to support the kids.
My name is Chris Rosenberg. I'm one of the assistant principals, and I'm really excited because I heard the superintendent say we had $200,000 to $300,000 for this.
I was excited by that too. I'm Cheryl Foster. I'm the principal at Wallenberg High School, and I am committed to walk the walk to support our African American students.
I'm Lori Jones, and I'm a grandparent at Wallenberg High School. And I spent many countless nights working on this, and I would like to send a little shout out to our coaches, Landon and Mignon, because they were there too. Good evening, my name is Lori Jones, grandmother of Montana, a student at Wallenberg High School. Montana has been harassed and had her first fight ever, and that fight was very violent. At one point, Wallenberg was having African American girls fight every day. Ms. Foster, our principal, declared a crisis and reached out to the community for help. As we started to take a real look at the problem, we came to the conclusion that this violence is a predictable response to what is going on in these girls' lives. We took a look in the mirror as a community, and this is what we came up with.
Thank you, Lori. Wallenberg has 649 students. 73 or 11% are African American. We have one of the highest African American graduation rates in the city. However, on the school culture and climate survey, our students report that they feel like they don't belong, they don't think the rules are fair, they don't feel supported in learning. On SBAC Math, 25% of our, on SBAC English Language Arts, 25% of our African American students scored proficient compared to the school at 72%, and in math, 8% compared to the school at 58%. Last year, our suspensions increased from 2 out of 11 students in the year before to last year, 14 out of 28. In meetings held with our African American students, the NAACP, district leaders, and me, our students reported they're not learning anything positive about their culture in their classrooms and that they face multiple microaggressions from other students. They also reported that they felt that African American students and the BSU in particular were not fully supported by staff and other students, and they expressed the desire for more Black teachers and staff. We already have a partnership with SF Achievers who work with our young Black males. They come on our campus twice a week, provide lunch, mentoring, and tutoring. And we also have partnerships with SF SES and Dr. Amar Sahili, who are both doing culturally relevant pedagogy training for our teachers. Our design challenge is: how might we increase cultural sensitivity and responsiveness among students and staff in order to foster a school culture that embraces our African American students as leaders and scholars on campus?
You can tell from our data that we have already a compelling need to do something, but we felt it was important to go through a process to dig a little deeper. We started first by surveying 100 students, parents, teachers, and staff, and we collected all those surveys and read through them to see if there were trends. In addition to that, we interviewed select parents and students to probe further into what their ideas were. Furthermore, we had 3 of our African American students shadowed for a full day so that we could better understand the experience of being a Black student at Wallenberg. And the team has continually gone through a process of reflection to try to understand what all this data means. In order to really understand what it means, we'd like you to hear from 2 of our students.
So then in middle school, I started learning about slavery, which I kind of already knew about that too, because, I hear from my family and stuff about it, but I felt like throughout my whole middle school year, that's all that we talked about. We never really talked about the successful things that we did, because I know that there's so much more to us than just being slaves. Ninth grade, we learned about things that was going on in China and stuff, new things and stuff. And then when it turned into the whole African American culture, we learned about slaves still. which kind of got me annoyed because I'm like, I know that there's way more to us. Like, we did so much, like, besides just being slaves. And
when I was younger, I never really liked to read because everything was always about, like, all the books that we had in school were always about how Sally's dad is a lawyer and Sally's mom is a doctor and Sally lives in a big house where everybody loves her and she has so many friends. And then if you saw a book about a black girl or anything that had to do with a minority, it was always how they grew up in the projects or the hood. So now as I got older, I realized that I wanted to learn more about my people, and so I started reading a lot, and I read the book Roots, and I found out more about my people, and I want to know more about Africa, and I want to know why it's one of the richest continents, and I want to know everything there is to know, and I don't want to have to do it on my own. I want to be where I know my teacher knows it and she can help me out with it if I don't get something. I shouldn't have to do it by myself.
I had the opportunity of shadowing a few students, and through my experience, I noticed a lack of pictures of African American students as well as in the lesson plans. Two of the kids that I was shadowing were the only African Americans in the class, and they seemed to be very isolated.
Students reported that the history of African American still starts with slavery and does not move beyond what they learned in elementary school. Over 60% of our teachers reported limited understanding of how to show African American students in a positive light in their curriculum. The necessity of urgent supports of our African American students, young women in particular, demands action. We need to develop more cross-cultural sensitivity among our students.
Based on the findings that we found hearing from students and teachers, we started the design process. So our first phase was designing 2 initial prototypes. We gathered feedback on each prototype, and then we incorporated that feedback into our 2 final prototypes we're going to present to you now. Our first one is really focused on culturally relevant pedagogy. Our teachers really want to learn more about how to incorporate African American history, positive images of African Americans in their curriculum, and students really want it as well. And that's why we developed this prototype.
Furthering on to that end, we also realize that content is not the only thing that's going to solve this, and we are asking for opportunities to have positive images of our African American students on the walls of our hallways, and also the funding to redesign classroom spaces so that they be more conducive to group work. We then plan to take this information back to a larger teacher community in the fall of 2018 and then share best practices.
This brings us to the second portion of our prototype, which is to create a mentoring village for our African American female students. It would be comprised of up to 4 mentors pulled from alumni, community members, staff, and family members to help support our female students with check-ins every 6 weeks, and we already have some community members who are very excited and ready to sign on to the project. Projected resources needed would be mentoring curriculum and associated guidebooks and handbooks, as well as assessment survey support and community members because, it's part of our mentoring requirement. The implementation team will consist of myself, our family liaison, as well as administration for Wallenberg. And our success measures will pretty much be based upon before and after surveys that will take note and take stock of how the students were feeling prior to being connected to a team of mentors who truly care about them and are invested in their well-being and in their community or their sense of community in Wallenberg, as well as an after survey at the conclusion of the spring 2018 semester to really see what sort of differences did it make to have this team of adults supporting you.
And although having pilot teachers develop culturally relevant pedagogy along with students and mentoring isn't a new idea, it is new to Wallenberg community and something that our students are really wanting as well as our teachers.
And so right off the bat, we will see our African American young women start to feel more support at Wallenberg. We will see more African American students engaged and successful in class. Longer term, we will see suspensions drop down to 0. We will see a reduction in D's and F's, and we will see an increase in standardized test scores for African American students, as well as their SEL survey scores.
the testing pilot the two proposed projects starting the spring semester on a small scale with 5 targeted classroom teachers and 10 to 15 mentors. Iteration: bring the grant team together in March and May to review the progress and make suggested adjustments based on student, teacher, parent, and administrative feedback. Implementation: roll out school-wide approach to supporting African American students for the 2018-2019 school year.
Right, so our big ask tonight is for culturally relevant pedagogy. We would like to have a professional consultant funded at $10,000, extended hours for professional development at $7,000, professional photographs of our students taken as leaders and scholars for $3,000, stipend, food, supplies for student and family focus groups at $5,000, tables and chairs $5,000, $5,000 for our mentoring village resources, support from curriculum and instruction for our curriculum development, for mentoring for success for our mentoring village, and for the assessment office to help us develop appropriate surveys. Our students, parents, and teachers have spoken, and we have listened. We want to find a way to make our African American students feel welcomed and recognized at Wallenberg, and we want to support them in their efforts to reach their full potential. Please support us in supporting them fund our projects. Thank you.